All right. Let's see. And the person taking the video footage is Joseph Schrodel. That's, I didn't butcher that. But, okay, you served in World War II and you served in the Navy, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
Okay. All right. Where were you living at the time?
I was living at the time in Johnson County, Mission, Kansas. You would know it as Mission.
Yeah, okay.
But in the old days.
Yeah. Why did you join? Why did you decide?
Why did I join? Well, basically, the war was really going, just getting started. And I was a young man, just turned 17. And I wanted to go help.
Let's see.
I wanted to help guard the flag.
Okay.
And freedom.
Yeah. Why did you pick the service of branch? Why did you pick the
Navy?
Yeah.
Because being from dusty Kansas, I wanted to see the ocean.
I see. Do you recall your first days in service?
Oh yes, very definitely.
Yeah.
Very definitely. We went to Great Lakes on May the 26th, started up there, got up there. The wage that time, remember the wage was $21 a day, 1 day a month. Okay? So anyway, I got in under that, but we went to Great Lakes, and in 30 days we'd receive our inoculations, all the shots they wanted to give us, a little drill so we could find out how to start off on the left foot. And by the July the 4th, we were on train en route to Norfolk.
Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. What did it feel like? What were you experiencing? What kind of feelings? Were you nervous? Were you excited?
No, excitement, I think.
Were you?
Excitement. And I was originally put into a unit, very first Navy Amphibious Forces. And try to give you an example of that. The largest boat we had at that time was a 50-foot lighter called an LCM. And then I'll try to grow that later. But we went aboard 3 troop ships. We trained in the Chesapeake. Our group trained for the North African invasion. There was no knowledge of any amphibious forces. It was supposed to be a secret outfit. And after training for about 3 months, some of our guys went up to Boston to pick up their own ships and have their own boats on there, 36-footers and 50-footers. I went to Solomon Island, Maryland for a brand new camp. And we started training men for the LCTs, which is a new vessel we hadn't seen before we got up there, which was landing craft tanks. And I trained there for, let's see, Thanksgiving Day. See, I got up there September, October. Thanksgiving Day, I was on a train from Norfolk going to New York City. To our crew, we were going up there to get our LCTs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. So what was like you kind of told me about your training experiences a little bit. Is there anything else you can think of? Boot camp, what it was like?
No, boot camp, we went too fast through boot camp. I mean, tell you, at those times, I was in Company 396 in May of 42 at Great Lakes.
Nice.
So 396 companies.
Wow.
If they started at number 1. They might start at number 100. 396 of my company.
Huh.
And there were about, I'd say 150 men, or maybe 150 men in each company. And, we just went, in fact, we went through so fast, they couldn't give us all of our uniform.
Wow.
Ties and some of our shirts and things like that.
Huh.
They just didn't have it.
Yeah.
But our training was very good, but it was new training because I hadn't done it before. And there's where we wound up in New York City, going to wait on our boats to be manufactured.
Okay. Do you remember your instructors at all? Like what their names were?
I was trying to pull up this one name of this chief in Chicago. They were, no, I can't remember his name. My ensign on my boat was wound up with Ensign Joyce on the LCT. And Weiler, like whether you've ever heard of Weiler watches, like Omega or something like that now. In those days, and I was with an Ensign Weiler. And I want to think that he was from that family. He was from New York City. But that was my first LCT skipper.
I see. Okay. Let's see. Where did you go throughout the war?
Okay. The LCT flotillas were 36 boats in a flotilla. There were 10 men and an officer to each boat. I was split off from the guys at Little Creek on my transport trips when they went to Boston. So anyway, I was supposed to go to the Atlantic coast with 24 of them. Well, I asked my commanding officer when I found out there were 12 of them going to the Pacific if I could go with them. And he said, yeah, I gave him a reason. He said, yeah, I'll try to get you. Well, he did. So these LCTs were placed aboard on top side of an LST, which was landing ship tank. That was a vessel about 300 feet long. We were put on the top side on big railroad ties, if you can visualize that.
Yeah.
And tied down on both sides so the boat wouldn't go. We were taken to Anamia, New Caledonia, where we were launched. And at Anamia, New Caledonia, so I can get all this in, we went to Tulagi or Guadalcanal. Solomon Islands is where we were really fighting.
Okay.
You've heard of J.F. Kennedy, Joseph Kennedy's PT boat, 109.
Yeah.
Okay, some of our boats carried the torpedoes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were down there at the same time all that was going on. We were down there, went through a couple of island invasions down there. Siggy Point, New Georgia was one there. Well, then I went up the island of Funafuni. There's 3 islands, Funafuni, Nikifitu, and Nanumea. And I was there, and I got to tell you a story about another man here in Wamego, Clem Guth. Clem had an insurance agency here. He happened to be one of my board members when I was administrator of the hospital. But anyway, Clem and I happened to be on this Funafuni at the same time. Did not know that. And how we come about to know it, every night when we had movies, we had him out in the open. He was sitting on palm trees, and there was a little mouse that went up and one pole, and there's this wire, and he started across this wire. Well, all of us had flashlights. So we'd go up and like searchlights on it. I mean, that joker took about 5 or 6 times before he got across. Got talking about that, and I said, Clem, were you at Fooney? He said, yeah, were you? And then we took an island, this Nanamia, which was the closest island to Tarawa. You heard of Tarawa, I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
And Clem and I were there at the same time. Then, another gentleman here in Wamego. In 1960, 61, he had went out with some kind of a telephone communication, radio communication. And he was on the island of Nanamia putting that up there. So 3 guys from a town of 3,500 people were on a small island you could throw a baseball across to almost. You know.
Wow.
That's real.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. Any other places that you know, or that you remember where you were you just at the island hopping, or do you remember?
Iwo Jima. I was at Iwo Jima from the day that the fighting started, which was February the 28th, and I'm going to say until about March the 28th or 29th, on the way home because of the ship was so damaged we had to come back to the States for repair.
Right.
But made initial landings. We were at Iwo, and the flag, you see the flag going up. All right, that's the second flag.
Oh, really?
And the original flag was smaller. And that thing was raised on February the 20. We hit February the 23rd. Why, man, I'm telling you, right then we saw our flag on the top of that Mount Suribachi. We thought, gee, Manila, the war's over. I mean, we had just won the war. Yeah. That was here's a bunch of Marines that were on ashore. Here's hundreds of them, over 1,000, maybe 2,000. Probably couldn't get off the beach because of the Japanese, the way they had the beach guarded. Mm-hmm. And so those guys fought their way up that mountain, and that first flag was brought there from Honolulu. And the commanding officer of the unit that put that flag up, the first one, said, I want that as a flag to go back to Washington, D.C. to be put in Moana. So we asked for the second flag, so a corporal from the Marine Corps come down to our ship. And I happened to be on the headphones up in the conning tower. And it was decided that our flag wasn't going to be big enough. They needed a larger flag, so I told the bow watch to send that corporal over to the next ship, which was an LST. I was on an LSM at that time. I'd gone home, got in the ship between the LCT. Anyway, then that captain sent the runner over to the next ship. Now, the reason I know that is about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I met the captain of that LST in Topeka.
Oh, wow.
Here our 2 ships were sitting side by side on this beach. Heavy shelling, everything else going on. And we should meet in Topeka.
Huh.
But that's how it goes.
That's neat. Yeah. Do you remember arriving like at Iwo Jima and stuff?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I'll
tell you, Tokyo Rose, in those days we had, all we had, was radio. Mm-hmm. And we loaded January the 1st of 45 in Hilo, Hawaii. Tokyo Rose come out every evening, and there was a troop ship loading there also. And she would tell us on the radio what equipment was going into a hold. A hold is, maybe a ship has 5 holds where they load supplies or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so on the way over there, she would tell us where we were located in the ocean. Took a checkerboard. In every spot we'd go across, she'd tell us latitude and longitudes where we were. Finally, of course, she had good old American music in those days, the old big band stuff, like Kay Kaiser and Glenn Miller and those guys. And she'd play that, try to get everybody crying, you know. Well, guys, you better back off now. We know where you're coming and we're going to be ready for you.
Yeah.
She knew that. I mean, they were.
Yeah.
Yes, we remember all that stuff.
Do you?
Yes. I was talking to a man in Anchorage, Alaska last night, who was one of my officers. I mean, we recall things just left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. What were your jobs or assignments or?
Well, my job, being a signalman, was communications. I was visual communications. With the blinker light, I don't know that you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And we had the flags, and we had semaphore.
Huh.
And on the LSM, I had 3 guys working under me and training the 4th one. But I was the head signalman on the LSM, the lead signalman.
Huh. Okay. Did you see combat? I mean, heavy combat at all?
No,
Did you?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
What islands or what?
Well, Iwo, now, when we hit the beach at Iwo Jima, we were on the beach, I'm going to tell you, about 8 seconds when there was 3 machine guns. Here's the beach, here's a terrace, about 8 or 10 foot terrace, and they had the Marines all down on that terrace. 3 machine guns. The battleships were sitting out back of us trying to knock out those machine guns, because every time one of our guys wanted to come up over that beach, I mean that terrace, all they had to do was open up.
Yeah.
And then they put what's called knee mortars, small mortars down on them. Then when the ship came in, they had a heavy field mortar to try to get us out. Well, if any of those field mortars fell short, where'd they fall on?
Yeah.
They fell on Marines.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we were on the beach about, I think it was 8 seconds, when 2 machine guns to our sides opened up. And our bow 40 millimeter was pointing right at the center machine gun. And they wouldn't shoot and we wouldn't shoot for some reason. And, but anyway, of course, the battleships had to discontinue their shelling when we went in, or they had to knock our tower off. Very definitely, yes sir, and at night time there wasn't, one night, I think 25 nights there. There wasn't one night there weren't some star shells near. Have you ever seen star shells out of Fort Riley at night? Their parachute, they shoot them in their parachute coming down.
Yeah.
Well, the American parachute flares were whiter than the Japanese. They were kind of a yellowish. I mean, ours are more bright. But there wasn't one night that there wasn't 1 or 2 in the air, and sometimes I counted 10. You know where?
Yeah.
And at Iwo, you didn't have any harbors, so a ship could go in and get out of the rough waters to unload. You had to unload alongside the ship. I mean, you floated. There wasn't any harbors. And then when you got your load on, whether it was, you went back and got in position at the beach, where the beach master wanted you. We sat there and watched both the Japanese and the American forces fighting each other. We could see them, you know, maneuvering themselves around trenches, I mean big trenches, big ditches and everything else. But yeah, we saw all of it.
Was that the heaviest fighting there at Iwo Jima?
That I saw?
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Was it?
We were damaged so much we had to come back to the States for repairs.
Let's see. Were there very many casualties in your specific unit?
Okay, we had 60 men and 5 officers. We had 65 troops on there. They were CVs, Construction Battalion, Navy Construction Battalion, and Marine Corps Beach Battalion. The reason they wanted us in, when we went in, the reason they wanted us in there first, when you stepped on the sands, when you stepped on that beach, you went down about ankle deep. So we had to get what they call airplane matting in, try to make a hard surface so the vehicles and things like that could go over the beach. Yeah.
Okay.
But what was that last question?
Oh, how many casualties?
All right. So I mentioned to you, we come under fire and under mortar first 8 seconds. We had 10 men and 2 officers hit. Now, one officer died from his wounds, and the other officer was very seriously wounded in the leg. And we got off the beach about 7 minutes after that, and we went for a hospital ship to get those others that needed it to the hospital. There were about 3 or 4 others beside the 2 officers that needed hospital help.
Huh.
The rest of the wounds was taken care of by our pharmacist on our ship. So you get back to 10, what's that, about 12.5% out of 65, you know.
Yeah.
And that's pretty high when you don't have, you have, other guys have to cover their positions at battle stations.
Sure. Let's see. What are your most memorable experiences? I know you told about the mouse and meeting the guy. Are there any more? Or?
Well, everything's memorable now, really. You can't imagine the camaraderie that you tie into when you're in the service.
Sure.
All right, for instance, a loader on a gun, he had to get the shells up to the gun before their gunner could fire, and all this. Somebody's depending on somebody else.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, we have a reunion once a year, and there's about 10 guys of our ship that come to that reunion every year. And this gentleman from Anchorage, Alaska, is going to Norfolk this year where the reunion is. Oh yeah.
Huh. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Were you awarded any medals? I know you told about some, but a little bit. But do you remember what they were?
No, of course I received those. I'm sorry,
That's all right.
didn't have that list. I got about 5 different medals.
Did you? Okay. All right. How did you get them? Where were you at?
Well, I got one for Eagle One, I got one for the Tulagi area, Guadalcanal area. That's the battle stars.
I see.
And then others you get for going into separate units of the world.
Right.
You get over England, you had the European medal.
Yeah. I see. Okay. How did you keep in touch with your family when you were over there?
Okay. First thing we had was little old pieces of paper with I miss you, and then you mark an X. Or I don't miss you, mark a no if you don't miss me. I mean, this was printed out about, I've got one somewhere, about 20. And then we had victory mail, something like that, very small pieces of paper that we wrote on and sent. And then finally, later, the government was good to us, so let us write letters, and then they, of course, they checked over the letter. We had a gentleman that would check it over and mark out things, which would try to tell our parents where we were. Yeah. And
what was the food like there?
On the LCT, the little old landing craft tank, we didn't have. The refrigeration was a home refrigerator. Well, ours wouldn't work, and nobody could fix it. So we didn't have anything to eat that took refrigeration, such as meat, things like that. We had to eat canned meat. And some of that didn't taste very good. But then finally, we would draw our cold supplies, chickens and things like that, the day we were going to eat them. And There were some foods, say we had cans of olives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we open up a can of olive, boy, you better eat it that day because of the temperature down there. Until I get about the temperatures, you know, it's spoiled.
Yeah.
On the other ship, we had good food. We had good food. No complaint there at all.
Huh.
Now, you take the Marines and those guys having all those canned stuff, all that.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
Sure. Yeah. Did you have plenty of supplies? Did you ever run out of supplies?
Yes, we had plenty of supplies. The only time we ran short on supplies, we had a little old place there where we buy candy and gum and everything from the from ship stores.
Uh-huh.
We would run out of things once in a while.
Yeah. Sure.
But
let's see. Was there anything you had for good luck, or any little something that you kept for good luck, or did for good luck?
yeah, I had a little test.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I see.
And I've got to tell you this on that. We were terrific amount of shelling and guns going off from battleship. I mean, the noise was awful.
Yeah.
And I got kind of nervous and opened up this testament. And there were a number of different places you could go for different problems. Why you sick,
Yeah.
you know. And I got one that says something like that, or not that, oh, you're scared, but it meant that.
Uh-huh.
And I started reading that. I opened up to that part in that little Bible. And I started reading it, and I mentally blocked out every outside noise.
Really?
Sure
Huh.
did.
Wow.
So I guess that was my good Bible.
I see.
That and my mom's letters.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah. How did people entertain themselves?
Oh boy, I gotta tell you this. On that LSM, when we left the United States, we got a new movie projector of 35 millimeter, which is one that's like the battleships.
Uh-huh.
And we left San Diego. A couple of guys went up to Hollywood and got 5 new movies, 5 brand new movies. So we would have one of those. And we had to have them on our tank deck because that was out of visual sight. And we don't think we had them when we were underway.
Yeah.
Had to pull into harbor. Well, we looked through our 5 movies, pulled into Saipan, so I signaled over to a cruiser. Now I told him, I said, we had 5 new movies from Hollywood. Oh, he said, short squirt. He says, we have 35 millimeter, we don't have 16. 16 was a smaller camera, you know?
Yeah.
I said, okay, and I come over to, I won't say a battleship, but another ship right near him. And I left my signal light so he could read it.
Mm-hmm.
Being far off, I didn't pull it from him.
Yeah.
So that guy says, we have 5 brand new 35 millimeter movies just out of, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to trade 3. I said, I'll trade you 1 for 3. So, you know, so I can get a few more on the stock.
Yeah.
Mister, I'm not kidding you. That other ship, I mean to tell you, he started trying to get me. In fact, he opened up his blinker light. He could open up from here to about 36 inches. I mean, I never did answer.
Oh. I don't blame you. Yeah. Were there entertainers? Like.
All right, a USO. Went back to Guam, and there was a USO, and of course they had a stage door canteen type thing, but guys my age, we couldn't have beer. We weren't old enough, so we had a good old hot Coke or something like that. But yeah, there was on the big islands where all the entertainers out of Hollywood would come once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
There were some of those.
I see. So like Bob Hope was.
Yeah, Lord, yes.
I see.
I never saw Bob, but I mean.
Yeah. What did you do when you were on leave?
Well, head for home.
Did you?
Yeah, I went home.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
You see, I had one leave, you know, when all the guys class I was with were still in high school. I was going to ask you, how old are you?
I'm 17.
Well, that's how old I was when I went to service.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And you?
17.
17?
Mm-hmm.
Down at 12th and Grand in Kansas City is a heck of a good recruiting aid.
Where did you, I guess you explained a little bit where you traveled in the service. You went to Iwo Jima. Any other major places that you can?
Well, this Nanamia, getting ready for Tarawa, that, to me, that was a major place. I had a shipmate that was walking as close as you are to me when a bomb fell on us and he didn't duck quick enough.
Oh.
He passed away, but that wasn't listed as a major battle thing,
Yeah.
but you mentally think that.
Sure.
And then Tulagi and Solomon Island, New Georgia Islands, that was a step up to Bougainville. So, I mean, that was one of the steps that they wanted to take.
Right.
And where that might not have been a major engagement, there were some shells fired to UVACs.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you recall any particular humorous or unusual events that happened? Other than.
I'll say, you know, when you cross the international date line, you have a ceremony. And the ones that put on this ceremony are the ones that have crossed before. So you get them all together and you shave their hair, you paint their face or water them down the hose.
Yeah.
One guy we couldn't find. I mean, we looked and looked and looked. This boy was from Kentucky, and he acted like he was from Kentucky. I mean, I tell you, we couldn't find him.
Huh.
So he brought the food down from the galley down to our tables, and by golly, we thought we was going to have to walk up and get him. Here he came. So I got to him later and I said, man, where in the devil did you go? So I said, man, I went back and half steering and closed over all the doggone life preservers down there over me. People looked at half steering, but they didn't see him.
Oh, man. Huh.